How has Dolly Parton's husband managed to stay out of the spotlight for so long? And what does Dolly think about his reclusive ways? Keep watching for the truth about Parton's man. After Dolly Parton graduated from high school in 1964, she did not wait too long before she made her way to Nashville. Frankly, she didn't wait at all. As she recounted in an interview, she left for Music City the day after she was officially done with school. One of her first stops in town happened to be a local laundromat, where she walked out with clean clothes and a handsome new boyfriend named Carl Dean.
It was called the Wishy-Washy Washateria. And so I met my husband that first day, in which I've always joked about that it's been wishy-washy ever since.
Parton told the publication she was looking for anything but love at that time, quipping, "I had just left 2 boyfriends back home, and I wasn't looking to get involved because I had gone to Nashville to really get started in the business." Whether she planned on finding love that quickly or not, it seems once she bumped into Dean, Parton never really had a chance. In a rare statement, Dean told Entertainment Tonight, "My first thought was, I'm gonna marry that girl. My second thought was, Lord, she's good looking. And that was the day my life began." Reflecting on their fortuitous meeting, Parton wrote on her website, "I was surprised and delighted that while he talked to me, he looked at my face, a rare thing for me. He seemed to be genuinely interested in finding out who I was and what I was about." On May 30th, 1966, Dolly Parton and Carl Dean tied the knot. The ceremony wasn't the over-the-top sort of celebration you'd expect from the famously glitzy and glamorous Parton, but a quiet affair with just a couple of witnesses in attendance. The simple ceremony wasn't a matter of taste, but rather an effort to keep their marriage a secret. Parton's label didn't want her to get hitched because they worried it would negatively impact her image. Parton explained to CMT, "Everyone at my label had invested money in me and my budding career, so they asked me if I'd wait a year to get married, and I didn't want to not do what I was supposed to do." And with that, Dean, Parton, and Parton's mother headed to Georgia for an under-the-radar wedding. The bride told CMT that on their big day, she had a little white dress and a little bouquet and a little Bible, and headed to a Baptist church to make it official. While the couple doesn't regret the timing of their marriage, Parton does feel a little regret about the way it all went down, telling People magazine, "I never felt like I had the wedding that we really wanted." Dolly Parton and Carl Dean hoped to become parents, but they never had children. In a 2014 interview with The Guardian, the singer said, "My husband and I, when we first got married, we thought about if we had kids, what would they look like? We talked about it and we dreamed it, but it wasn't meant to be." That meant to be is likely referring to the partial hysterectomy that Parton had in 1984, which led her doctors to tell her she'd never be able to carry a child. In the end, it seems Parton and Dean have made peace with the decision to not have biological children or to adopt. She told Closer Weekly, "God has a plan for everything, and I think it probably was his plan for me not to have kids so that everybody's kids could be mine." She told The Guardian that she would have been a great mother, but she believes her career would have looked quite a bit different, telling the outlet, "I would probably have given up everything else because I would have felt guilty about that if I'd had left them. Everything would have changed. I probably wouldn't have been a star." As with any long-standing Hollywood relationship, rumors of infidelity have circled Dolly Parton and Carl Dean for years. That said, it seems at least a few of those rumors aren't totally out of left field. In a Ladies' Home Journal interview, the country megastar revealed that she once had an affair of the heart. She didn't say who the affair was with, but did say that it just about killed her.
Now, how many of you go so far back that you'd remember a song of mine called Jolene?
Parton isn't the only one in the marriage to have flirted with infidelity, at least not if her account of the inspiration behind her famous song Jolene is to be taken seriously. The Independent wrote that after singing the song at Glastonbury in 2014, Parton explained to the crowd, "That song was loosely based on a little bit of truth. I wrote that years ago when my husband was spending a little more time with Jolene than I thought he should be." Parton says Jolene was supposedly inspired by a bank teller with whom Dean apparently had a flirtatious dynamic. Fueling those infidelity rumors is Dolly Parton's admission that she and Carl Dean are in something of an open marriage. In a chat with the Daily Mail, the country star offered up details about their relatively less traditional arrangement, saying, "Men are my weakness. Short, fat, bald, or skinny, I've had crushes on some very unusual men, but Carl knows I'll always come home and I'm not having sex with these people. I'm just flirting and having fun." As far as she's concerned, there's no shame in it. As Parton said in a Ladies' Home Journal interview, "Of course I've been tempted. I'm married. I'm not dead." But before you characterize them as a polyamorous couple, know that physical relationships with others are off the table for the pair. Parton says the openness only extends so far, noting, Yes, it's an open relationship, but not sexually, and I would kill him if I thought he was doing that. He would shoot me too. At the end of the day, we love each other madly. Dolly Parton may be perfectly at home performing on a stage for millions of people, but for her husband Carl Dean, that scenario is a perfect nightmare. And it's not for want of trying. Per The Boot, she once told an audience about a time early on in her career where she and Dean attended a red carpet industry event that prompted a bit of a gear shift. Her introverted husband hated the whole affair so much that as soon as the night was over, Dean turned to her and said, "Dolly, I want you to have everything you want and I'm happy for you, but don't you ever ask me to go to another one of them dang things again." So this means that many of Dolly's closest collaborators and friends have never even met Carl.
Never met the man, so I don't know anything about him.
While some celebrities might struggle with being with someone who can't get away from the public eye fast enough, Parton has made it work. Chatting with ET about how she's always respected Dean's aversion to fame, she said he's always been cool with her being an extremely famous celebrity. She explained, "He said, I didn't choose this world, I chose you, and you chose that world. But we can keep our lives separate and together. And we do, and we have." Low-key doesn't mean low romance. Both Dolly Parton and Carl Dean prioritize doing romantic things for each other on a regular basis. Parton once revealed to People magazine that her husband has a sweet seasonal ritual. "We still have our little times, like in the springtime when the first yellow daffodils come out. Even if there's still some snow around it, my husband always brings me a bouquet. And he'll usually write me a little poem, which to me, that's priceless." The seasons may change, but his shows of affection don't go into hibernation. Parton told The Mirror that Dean is an incredibly thoughtful person who does small but meaningful things like making her coffee in the morning. The gestures aren't a one-way street either. On Dean's birthday in 2021, Parton recreated her iconic Playboy cover, bunny ears and all, as a birthday gift for her man who loved the original cover. Much of Dolly Parton's music is personal, influenced by real events or real people in her orbit. So it's not incredibly surprising that she has an entire album inspired by her relationship with Carl Dean. Chatting with Rolling Stone about the record in 2016, she said, "I was just trying to think about all the different colors of love throughout the years. I thought, I'm just going to write about mine and Carl's relationship. It's just a pure and simple relationship." And with that, the album was called Pure and Simple, and the songs Forever Love, So Forever Mine You'll Be, and Tomorrow Is Forever were written for her longtime partner. Despite the sweetness of this gesture, Dean doesn't really love the kind of music she makes. Parton told Good Morning Britain, "He likes hard rock, he likes Led Zeppelin and bluegrass music. My music's somewhere in between, so he doesn't dislike it, but he doesn't go out of his way to play my records, let's put it that way." The country star seems to take their differing tastes in stride, commenting that his support, which he gives freely, is more important to her than the idea that he loves each and every last one of her records. In 2016, Dolly Parton and Carl Dean hit a huge milestone in their relationship, one that few couples, especially those in Hollywood, managed to reach. To celebrate 50 years of marriage, they had a second wedding, renewing the vows they'd made a half-century before. Parton told The Mirror ahead of the event, "It was my idea to renew the wedding vows. He is too shy and doesn't like the commotion, but he will be glad to do it if I tell him to. He seemed a little excited when I mentioned it. He would have never brought up the idea himself." The couple held their vow renewal in the chapel at their Nashville home, and this time around, she didn't wear another little white dress, she told Rolling Stone. "I got all dressed up in the most beautiful gown you've ever seen and dressed that handsome husband of mine up. We didn't plan anything big at all because we didn't want any kind of strain, any kind of tension, any kind of commotion. So we planned it cleverly and carefully." Dolly Parton and Carl Dean decided that they will never trade verbal blows, and that decision sure seems to have stuck. As the songstress once told W Magazine, the couple simply don't argue. And it's not because they never do anything to get on each other's nerves, but because they've made a conscious decision to refrain from fighting. In an interview with Amazon Music, Parton explained, "My husband and I have never fought. We've never bickered back and forth because I never wanted one of us to say bad things that we'd have to remember. We get a little pissy now and then, but we'll just kind of walk off or go do something else, kind of let that die down." That level of self-control to not speak negatively to your partner when they've done something frustrating is impressive, to say the least. But Parton maintains the amount of time they spend apart helps, she told Amazon Music. "We're not like in each other's faces all the time. There's a lot to be said about having some sensible separation because you can't be with somebody 24/7, 365, and not want to smack their face now and then." It was love at first sight for Dolly Parton and Carl Dean, and that love hasn't faded a bit over the years. If anything, it's only continued to blossom. During an appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert in 2020, Parton told the late-night host about their connection. "I'll often be thinking about something that's worrying me or grieving me, and I'll pray about something kind of waiting for an answer, and he'll sometimes just up and just say something, and it's just like, well, I didn't say anything to you about that."
I don't know if he just senses how I'm feeling, but I have always said, that God, speaks to me, through him.
In a 2016 chat with CBN News, the songstress called the relationship a godsend, explaining, "God knew I was going to need somebody like him if I was going to be doing all this crazy stuff, but he knew he was going to need somebody like me because Carl is pretty much a loner and he really doesn't want to be with anybody but me." Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nicki Swift videos about your favorite celebrity couples are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.